You are listening to Palucci Performance Podcast, and here is your host, Ray Palucci.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode. I'm Ray and I'm your host. Thank you so much for being here, for finding time, for making time, and just continue to listening to my episodes. Today we'll talk about addiction. What addiction means, what addiction is, how can we use addiction in our favor? Yeah, that is correct. And how can we become better or eliminate any bad addiction that we have? So let's go straight to this topic. Now, we live in a society where people like to try new things, try to take out their curiosity. And obviously this is in our human nature because from a very young age, we're very curious to try things. Even though they tell us to not touch that because we will get burned, it's hot, we will still go touch it. And after we won't do it again. But how about we don't learn from our mistakes and we learn from something that is even better? Learn from other people's mistakes, okay? Just because other people do things doesn't mean that you have to do it. Just because other people have done things doesn't mean that you have to try. Knowing that something is bad, it's just bad. We don't have to try new things in order for us to prove to ourselves. If other people can prove to us that something is wrong, then it is wrong. I've been one of the people that I've tried things that I probably shouldn't try out of curiosity, for the fact that other people have done it and I want to see how it makes me feel. But I'm pretty sure, I'm more than pretty sure, to be honest. I'm 100% sure that my mom and dad have not tried things that I've tried. They know they're bad, but they don't even have the curiosity to do those things or try those things. So learning from them, it's something that I've been trying to carry on in other areas of my life. Just knowing that something is bad, it's just bad. So we should not do it. We should not even try. We should not even take out the curiosity. Okay? Now, addiction, it's, again, I call it two types of addiction. I call it the positive addiction and negative addiction. We are all addicted to something. And I truly believe that. Okay? But let's talk about the bad addiction first. Bad addictions are gambling, cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, prostitution. I mean, we can name so many negative and bad addictions that can hurt us long term. It can affect other people around us and can literally destroy our life. My background again is on community counseling, and one of the projects that I did on my addiction class was gambling addiction. And I've gambled. I don't think that I've been any time addicted. When I was younger, I used to gamble more than now with little money, but I have friends that were addicted to gambling and it literally destroyed their lives. I know people that have destroyed their lives. So I did my final project on my addiction class in gambling addiction. Nobody did it. I was very fascinated to see how those things happened and what is the science behind that. And I spent hours and hours and hours. So I'm just going to give you very few things that I learned by doing so much research. Number one, in gambling addiction, they literally study everything to make you stay as much as you can on those computers. You don't see the lights. There's no times, so you have no idea what time it is. You're just there, and the sound that the machines do, the speed of the machines. When you're waiting, what's gonna drop, the colors of the machine, they study. Literally, there's people that spend millions behind those in order to program and trick our brain to stay as much as we can there. It is messed up because even the government and everybody knows that, but nobody does to stop it. They say a percentage goes to building new schools and stuff. I don't care about building new things. How about we stop hurting people and manipulating people right now, other than trying to take care for the things that's going to happen in the future? We got to focus on the present moment. So gambling is one of the worst addictions you can ever push yourself in. Okay? Now, what was interesting that I found in the gambling addiction is that the release of the dopamine, those very quick highs, and the drop they're so addicted that you crave to want more and more and more, as is for the other drugs. When people do other drugs, they experience this quick high and they experience this drop. But what is worse is that the drop after the high, it's way below the baseline when you first had or started to getting this high. So now you want another high. And if you're imagine like a line, just imagine that the line is going up and now it's going below. And now going higher and even be lower than the second time. And you're just swinging those moves over and over. And you're literally destroying yourself and creating different waves and other things that I don't even know how to explain. But long story short is that it changes your brain. Literally, your brain shapes differently. And you cannot recover that. Your brain function changes. The way you think changes. And it has so much other even terrible things that it will affect you long term as anxiety, depression, etc., etc. But changing the brain, it's ridiculous. But another interesting fact of those highs and lows is that they studied the brains of those people when they were playing gambling. And it wasn't just the high or the pleasure of winning something. They experienced almost exactly the same high when they won something, or if they didn't win something, but the process of waiting was exactly the same spike. So the moment you're rolling the dice, when you're waiting for the dice to for the numbers, you have exactly, or your body have exactly the same high and the result of the dopamine as what you would have, for example, won. When you're spending time and pressing the button for the slot machine, the wait for like the last drop or throughout the last three or the whole fight is exactly almost the same high than when you actually win. So it's not about winning or losing. It's about staying there and being there. So it is so tricky. And those kind of addictions can destroy your life and other people's life that are your loved ones or that are next to you. So I want to say, guys, that addiction is very, very bad. Okay? I don't want to see anybody getting addicted with those things because they can destroy you. And obviously I mentioned there's a lot of kinds of addictions out there. Alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, some are worse than the others, but that doesn't mean that the ones that are less hurtful, if you would say that, are okay. No, it's not okay. I used to also smoke cigarettes for a while and drink alcohol. I wasn't an alcoholic. I don't think I had a problem with alcohol, but I did have a problem with cigarettes. And was a time that I was smoking almost like a pack a day. For sure more than half a pack a day. And it was so addicted that you wake up in the morning, you want a cigarette with a coffee. After lunch, you want another cigarette. After dinner, you want another cigarette. Before you study, you want a cigarette. After you study, you want a cigarette. You hang out, you have sex. Before sex, you want a cigarette. After sex, you want a cigarette. You want cigarette in everything. And just the idea right now, like it kills me that we can become addicted so much of something that we cannot let it go. And how terrible is that an external thing has so much power in us and in our internal factors? It's ridiculous, okay? So how can we stop that? The way how I stopped cigarettes, it was like a cold shower, like pam pam. But obviously it took a minute. It wasn't just as easy. When I did the project on my addiction class, the very first week, our professor asked us to quit something, because in order for us to treat clients with an addiction, we have to experience something that we will go through the same thing. Because it's easy to tell people like, hey, just stop because it's easy, you have willpower and you have yourself in control. He's like, or she's like, screw you, like you don't know what I'm going through. And that's true, we don't know what they're going through. Now, I'm not saying that right now we should try heroin and cocaine and all these hardcore drugs to know what they're feeling, but at least we can do something to kind of understand, okay? So let's start with you guys. Are you addicted on something? Are you, like, let's say, addicted to video games? Are you addicted to, like, I don't know, alcohol, cigarette, or something that you know it is bad for you? We'll try to stop that for a month or for a week. or just the idea that you are going to stop, how does that make you feel? And actually do experience like a week. Let's say caffeine. I bet most of us drink caffeine, coffee, or some kind of caffeine. Just try to not have caffeine for a week and just see how that caffeine will make you guys feel. How does like the withdrawal the next 2 days will make you like feel and be. So it's good because number one, we will understand other people if we want to help somebody that has some problems with addiction. So we know how hard it is. And number two is that we will just train ourselves to not be addicted to other things, or we will train ourselves to like how to be able to quit some kind of addiction if we are addicted or something. Okay, or let's say you're addicted to alcohol and you cannot stop, but you're also addicted to caffeine. Well, start with caffeine, and maybe you'll learn more how you're going to experience the withdrawals, how difficult it will be, and then try to do other things in order for you to help you to not be addicted or to stop alcohol, right? Also, ask for help. We never ask for help, guys. We want to do everything by ourselves. So the 12 steps, like the AA meetings for alcohol, are amazing. I've attended some just to see how they are great. I mean, seek a therapist. I mean, go to a church, have some religion connection. Ask for help if you really, really need help. But first, I want you guys to truly understand the power of not being addicted to anything. Okay? So there's are a lot of steps that you can take. Now, the way that I stopped alcohol and cigarette, because that's what I did for my addiction class. I told my professor I'm gonna stop alcohol and cigarette, and I did it. Okay? So there's two things that I used in order for me to help me stop those addictions. Okay? It was like verbally and physically abuse that I used on myself, right? So I told myself that if I am ever going, let's say, to drink alcohol for the next 4 months until the class stops, I'm going to do something very embarrassing. I'm going to go outside in the street. I'm going to scream as loud as I can, words like I'm a loser, I am ashamed of myself, I'm terrible. So every time, even if I was in a club or somewhere else, if I was ever going to think of taking another drip of alcohol, I was going to do that. And in my mind, start making all the calculation that it's not worthy to have a drink and to feel ashamed in front of everybody else. What I told to myself with cigarettes is that the next cigarettes that I'm going to smoke, when it's done, I'll take it out on myself. I'll literally burn my skin. And I don't know how both of those feel, but I could just imagine that both of those can be very, very painful, physically and emotionally. And every time I wanted to smoke a cigarette, I was very committed that I was going to burn myself. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think this is okay. Did I smoke a cigarette after like 6 months? Yeah, sure I did. Do I smoke cigars here and there? Sure I do. Do I drink alcohol? Actually, I don't, to be honest. I just drink like maybe a glass of red wine once a month, but I don't usually drink anymore. So I'm not an addictive person in any of those, and I'm so proud of myself, because once you take yourself out of those addictions, it's okay to try once in a while, right? But try with the idea that you're not going to get addicted. Now, if you try and you start seeing yourself being addicted, then go through the same motion or even more painful things in order for you to never go take yourself in there. But how can we also use other things to stop the negative addiction? We can stop negative addiction with positive addictions. So it's going to help us, first of all, not be addicted to bad things, and also include some positive things, okay? Let's say, for example, I know people that have stopped smoking cigarette by chewing gum. Now, chewing gum is not like a crazy positive addiction, but it's not a negative one. Now, I'd rather you be addicted to like chewing gum all day than smoking cigarettes all day, okay? Another thing that helped me with cigarettes and drinking alcohol is that there was a time that I stopped working out and lifting and having anything to do with physical activity for like years, because I was so burned out throughout my whole career, spending hours and hours and hours at tennis court and in the gym, that when I became an assistant coach, I just wanted to be an assistant coach and live my life. Well, now it's time to change that. So I start working out again. I start lifting. I start walking. I start doing things that I would find pleasure. And in the beginning, it wasn't as fun, but more time I spent there, I start getting more addicted into the gym. I start getting more addicted on how beautiful I look. I start getting more addicted to on how strong I feel. And most important, I can actually say right now that I'm definitely addicted to the high that the gym gives me. Literally. Sometimes, like throughout the summer, I even lifted twice a day because I felt I had so much energy. Every time I was low, I really wanted something to put me high. And what puts me high right now is having a great, short, long, but intensing workout with listening to very loud music in my headphones. So if that is something that will help you quit the negative addiction and add the positive addiction, like the high of the gym, or spending hours reading books, like the idea that you want to read as many as you can and learn as much as you can, then do it. I'd rather have you have a positive addiction to stop the negative addiction and also profit from that than just to have a negative addiction. We can go on this topic, guys, for hours and hours. Now we can have a great discussion about it. That's why probably I felt like I rushed a bit and I was a bit more intense because I'm very fascinating about it. I mean, I did my thesis in addiction. So I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's something that will help us achieve the best version of ourselves and achieve peak performance on quitting negative addiction and adding some positive addiction. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. I appreciate all your likes, comments, shares, everything else. If you have any opinion about it, I'll appreciate, and I'll be more than happy to listen, to hear you guys out. And if you want to add something, or you wanted to talk about some other kinds of addiction or something related to this topic, just please let me know. I'll be more than happy to redo another thing. So thank you so much again, guys, for your time. And until the next video, you guys stay blessed.